Hello, my name is J. Paul Massey Singh, and on behalf of the Brampton Board of Trade and Rogers Television, welcome to the Regional Councillor Candidates Debate for Wards 1 and 5. The purpose of today's debate is to give our viewers an opportunity to better know the candidates in their ward and learn where they stand on key issues. We're pleased to be joined today by Elaine Moore, Vidya Sagar Gautam, and Paul Vicente. Prior to this recording, the candidates drew numbers to determine the order in which they'll be speaking. Each candidate will have the opportunity to make an opening statement, after which time our panel of community members will direct questions pertaining to issues of the day. The candidate to whom the question is posed will have time to answer, after which time other candidates may have the opportunity to comment or rebut. Sitting on our panel today are David Clement, Executive Director of Rapport Youth and Family Services, Weba Wolarbala, Committee Chair of Diversity and Inclusion for the Brampton Board of Trade, and Badr Shaman, Vice Chair, International Trade for the Brampton Board of Trade. At the conclusion of the question period, each candidate will have the opportunity to make a closing statement to you, our audience. With that said, the individual who drew the first number is Elaine Moore, and I now turn the debate over to her.
Well, I'd first like to thank the Board of Trade and Rogers for hosting this important debate. Our city is at a watershed moment, with tremendous opportunities that lie ahead for us. But only if citizens and elected officials trusted to represent them begin a new course for our fabulous city. As we move from 550 to 800,000 residents, we need all Brampton residents to benefit from our provincially mandated growth. And we need to recognize that we all have shared values regardless of what our histories are and where we come from. If you read a newspaper, listen to talk radio, or if you've spoken to your neighbors, you know that the past 4 years have been highly controversial and challenging. With the recent news of our mayor taking legal action against the city's integrity commissioner, Deloitte auditors, the media, and certain councillors, the controversies continue. I truly hope that you know and appreciate why I have been one of the loudest voices on council in seeking the truth on your behalf. I encourage you to go online, Google search my name, and find the evidence for yourself of my commitment to stop the culture of entitlement at City Hall. I am asking for your continued support, and I would like to share with you why I believe I'm your best choice on the ballot. My re-election campaign is being run exactly the same way as I have represented you since 2000, by keeping you informed on issues and by being visible and available to you. My constituents are my priority. I will continue to respond quickly to emails and phone calls and to be the voice at City Hall fighting for your concerns. My preference, as many of you know, is to meet you at your home and in your neighborhood to see firsthand your concerns and to problem solve together. My home telephone number has been on my business card since day one, because my job, like many of yours, does not have regular hours, and you should have the opportunity to speak with me when it's most convenient for you. I'm looking forward to debating and hearing where my opponents stand on important issues that make sure all families have equal opportunities and a high quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Gautam, your opening statement.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vidya Sagar Gautam. I am just one of the candidates among the other members. To start with, I am just a common citizen working at the airport. But what made me to come to the political life, when I saw in the media that city officials were struggling to account for the 766 million designated for the 670 capital projects from the last 7 years, and many of which were not yet started. It triggered my mind. Why not to add my part in it and be a part of the political system? The first thing I will try to do is to reallocate the priorities for the essential services like policing. No more cuts. Paramedics, no more cuts. To my knowledge, paramedics are doing their best and they are doing the best optimization. I don't think we can do more of the paramedics cut from our side. Otherwise, we will be the sufferers. Long-term care, I will again stress it. Long-term care should be in a way that we should understand what they really need. Not making the long-term care buildings, but the people should be more compassionate. This is what I gathered when I visited many of the long-term cares. Then affordable housings, public health. And other than that, I was stressing initially, and I was already in touch with the Sheridan College to have a full-fledged university. I had a chance to meet Dr. Jeff, and it will take a year or two, but I will not be satisfied unless until there are some faculty courses, specifically in the science engineering management, that will really give us a technical base for the new entrepreneurs to come and for the new investors to come. This is how the system starts. And other than that, I would like to do the more of the innovation and excellence procedures in a way that the two types of governments which it provides, we should have in such a way that they are that the system all the tax cuts are done are methodical, and it should be unsafe to everyone. And my main motto is 100% transparency and 100% disposal.
Thank you, Mr. Gautam. Mr. Vicente?
Hello, my name is Paul Vicente. In the last couple of years, City Council has become a place where some of our representatives go to simply disagree instead of work together. Our councillors have not been representing us in our views. We cannot afford another wasted term of council. I am running in this election to provide you with real representation so that you will feel represented again. My experience has taught me that listening and engaging in dialogue are the two best methods for solving difficult challenges. It is for this reason that for the past 7 months, I have been walking through our neighborhoods and knocking on doors, speaking to you, so that I may understand your priorities. Our chats have been very productive, and for this reason, I am committed to always keep the conversation going. Once I am elected, I pledge to hold regular monthly town hall meetings in our wards. That way, I will always be able to represent your interests at the city and at the region of Peel. Councillor Moore has not been doing this. Instead of working for your interests, she has been talking to lawyers. In that same period, I have been talking to the taxpayers. Councillor Moore likes to say that she has experience. Well, I say that integrity is more important. Councillor Moore has quit several Brampton organizations over the years, such as the Downtown Development Corporation, because when she disagrees with someone, she just quits and leaves the table. Is that the kind of representation that we deserve? No. Brampton can be a great city. Our future success depends on changing from being a suburb to becoming a hub of human activity that is the hallmark of great cities all over the world. That is why I am asking for your vote on October 27th, so that I can be your representative and stand up for Brampton. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vicente. We'll now turn it over to our panelists to ask questions of our candidates, and I'll first ask Mr. Clement.
And the first question goes to Mr. Vicente. Despite increased economic prosperity for many segments of our society, our most vulnerable people, socioeconomically speaking, continue to be at risk. How will you address food insecurity, poverty, and homelessness in our community?
Thank you for that question on prosperity. I believe that prosperity is something that should be accessible to everyone. That is why I believe on focusing on building jobs in our city. Jobs are the lifeblood of our economy, and people need jobs to prosper. We need to have policies in place at City Hall to grow jobs for our citizens. Jobs are one of the #1 issues that I am hearing from you as I knock on the thousands of doors in wards 1 and 5. We need to promote our city and bring jobs to this city so that our residents no longer need to commute long distances, so that people that are here that require opportunity have the opportunity to make a living and to allow their families to grow and to prosper in this city. Prosperity is directly related to jobs, and we can help one another by having jobs in this city and growing them and attracting them to Brampton.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. Ms. Moore, did you want to comment on the question?
Well, I think there's several dimensions to the question that you've asked, and one is certainly the jobs, and we want jobs local, and we want to be quality jobs available for residents. There's another dimension to it, and that is those who are already marginalized, who are already living below the poverty level. And many of these folks are traveling from one resource to the next, trying to access a service or a program that will help it to improve their quality of life. I'm a very strong proponent of a more triage approach. We have individuals that if we were to be able to provide childcare subsidy for them, would make it easier for them to pay to put a roof over their head or to put food on the table. But what we have now is a system where individuals without the resources that are available to them to travel from one program to the next to try and access something that makes their life easier. And if we have someone who's going to perform that triage to identify what would best suit that individual or that family. Is it housing subsidy? Is it child care subsidy? Is it access to the food banks? Is it access to someone who can help them put together a resume? I think we need to start looking at families and individuals on an individual basis rather than a one-size-fits-all approach.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Gautam, did you want to comment?
Yeah. My priority will be that in order to create the employment, we should first of all inculcate the culture of the to invest for the investments. For that, the city of Brampton has to create in such a way that the investors or foreign investors or the new business houses or the angel investors, they will come only when they realize that there is a potential of investing in the city. As and when we have the people are duly qualified with a full degree, but they are partially employed. Getting a degree with $80,000 and he's doing just petty job of $14, this is just a waste of talent, and that applies to not only to the engineering category, even to the other people. Unless we have the good base, the system will not change. For that, I will really encourage the small manufacturing enterprises to start with that can really make a change.
Thank you. Mr. Vicente, you wanted to comment?
Yes, thank you. We know how to build jobs in a city, and it just takes an effort from all the interested stakeholders to work together to attract companies to Brampton, to build small and medium-sized businesses so that we can prosper the lives of our citizens, so that we don't have to be traveling so far to commute to jobs in other cities and then spend our money there. The problem I have is that this council has not been focusing on this priority, which is a priority that I am hearing from the thousands of residents that I've spoken to over the last many months. So I implore you to make a change this year, to change and put people in council who will work for your interests, not for the interests of others.
Ms. Moore, you wanted to respond?
Well, City Hall cannot be all things to all people, and business attraction and retention is the responsibility of City Hall to work with our business partners, whether it's the Board of Trade or the other business associations. I think we need to pool our collective expertise, pool our collective efforts, and have a strong corporate calling program where we go out and identify what are the needs of our local businesses today, what complementary or companion businesses would make their business model more sustainable and more successful. So I think the message I'd like to convey is that it's very much a partnership. City Hall has a very distinct role to play, but we can't do it ourselves, and we need to be collaborating a lot more and building partnerships.
Great, thank you. Ms. Vorabala, what would you like to ask our candidates about?
Mr. Gautam,
yes.
Could you tell us, do you support the current LRT Metrolinx project proposal as it pertains to Brampton?
Thank you very much for asking this question. That was really bothering me a lot. This is one of the big projects, for the infrastructure point of view, that will really create a lot of jobs. I was really surprised to read the note that LRT project, Mississauga, is all ready to start, but the moment it enters the Queen Street, it ends up with another station, Nanwood. They say, no, city of downtown. I attended on the Brampton Board of Trade meeting on that day in the evening too. I'm surprised why we are so skeptical that just for 3 kilometers of the journey, they want 11 different routes, and that too at the cost of $10 million. After all, who's going to pay for that? This project has already been initiated by the government and duly authorized by the Metrolinx. They have fully qualified engineers, and they have done all the assessment processes. How come all of a sudden we are coming with a different plan? For me, this is not fair. We should all be reasonable, and we should do the good decision making in the process.
Ms. Moore, did you want to comment on the process?
On the process? Well, I don't think it's any secret what my position is on LRT. It's twofold. First of all, we need LRT into our downtown. And I think Council is unanimous in that belief, and they've been unanimous in their decision-making that leads us to that. But what we took off the table was a surface alignment into the downtown. We did not take LRT coming into our downtown. We know it's essential for economic growth. We know it's essential for connecting to the northern part of our city, which is really the logical conclusion to LRT. There's no sense in having LRT just to the downtown when people have to drive from the northern part of the city to connect up with it. So my position then, and it is now, and Council was quite unanimous in that, with the exception of one vote, was that LRT should come into our downtown, but it should not be the surface alignment. Take it underground, take it through to the Peel Memorial Hospital site, which, by the way, is going to employ, when it's full capacity, 5,000 people. You want LRT to connect to where people are going to be working and where it makes logical sense to them. But we shouldn't stop at just LRT on Main Street. We should be having east-west routes that connect up to it.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Vicente, did you want to comment on the LRT?
Yes, I agree with Madam Moore. She is right. We need transit solutions in Brampton. The Metrolinx project is an exciting project that could potentially reinvigorate our downtown. But the people are saying that they don't agree with having a train running through our Heritage District and our confined downtown core as it exists today. However, I disagree with Council's motion from 2 weeks ago of removing the surface alignment off the table of discussion. We should have just said that we want to consider all the options before we make a decision. Removing the surface alignment from the discussion puts our funding at risk, and we stand to lose a large infrastructure project that would benefit the citizens of this city. And so I believe that we should not have done that, because staying at the table is the most important thing that we can do to work for the citizens of Brampton. We should not quit.
Ms. Moore, you had a response.
Well, the LRT in our downtown is more than just protecting our Heritage District. It's also about bisecting our festival and event space in the downtown. We're in the business of city building, whether that's government or residents or the Board of Trade together. We're building a city for the future. We wouldn't put an LRT through the middle of Chinguacousy Park. Can you imagine an LRT going through Chinguacousy Park in the middle of Canada Day? It doesn't make a lot of sense. The downtown, the events and festivals, we're aiming to have 200 events in our downtown. We're currently at 65. 200 events in our downtown with LRT running up the center doesn't make a lot of sense. When we talk about jobs, when we talk about prosperity, higher level transit is something that we absolutely need. And on those corridors, that's where we're going to get our intensification. Our densities, both in terms of residents and jobs, will be along those corridors. But we need to understand that we get one chance to do this right for Brampton. And if we're going to sacrifice our downtown, a 2-kilometer stretch of a 22-kilometer LRT, then Mississauga is getting a better deal out of this. Mississauga, by the way, Hazel McCallion stood up and said, you will not take it into our area down by the lakeshore until we come up with the right alignment.
Thank you.
We should say the same thing.
Mr. Vicente and then Mr. Gotham.
Yes, Elaine, perhaps you didn't read the reports. Metrolinx has done a great deal of work to accommodate our downtown. They have designed the LRT train track system so that, first of all, it's not raised, it's at the surface, and secondly, it is designed to reverse before hitting Wellington Street, which means that it would not interfere with our downtown events. So again, I say, I'm not trying to say that the downtown alignment on the surface is the best option, because we need to talk to the people and see what they prefer. But I think it was wrong for us to remove the surface alignment from the table, because it puts our city at risk of not being able to enjoy the funding on a multi-billion-dollar project, which at the end of the day would benefit the downtown, would help us to build intensification, bring jobs, allow us to build offices and mixed-use developments in the downtown, which would benefit our city.
Mr. Gotham.
Yeah, to my mind, it looks very skeptical, as how come when the time came for the July something to make objection, we were already with 11 different alternate routes. And that too, that design was made at the cost, again at the cost of the city. But we were only waiting for the time to come, that when the time will come to make the objections, we are all ready to make the objections. To me, it looks like altogether different ball game. As on date, we are really the leadership gap there. The present leadership has to think not for the 2014, not for 2015, not 2031, at least for the next century to come. Unless we think in those terms, we are really putting our city behind.
Ms. Moore.
It was over a year ago that this council made a decision and made it very clear that a surface alignment was not the preferred route into the downtown. So this is not a surprise. It was didn't come from left field last month when the motion was put forward. So we were very clear a year ago, and the province. By the way, I'm very familiar with the report to my opponent. I read it in great detail before I put forward the motion that was unanimously supported by council. But we need to understand this is about our downtown. This is about preserving our history and our future and building a walkable solution, a walkable city for the downtown.
Mr. Vicente, the last word on this topic?
I agree with you, Elaine, with your past few words, but if you did read the report, then why are you saying that the LRT would interfere with our downtown events?
Because, Mr. Vicente, 200 events in our downtown is a tremendous inconvenience for those who would use LRT that would stop at Wellington Street.
The LRT would bring business to our events. It would bring people. Imagine you step off an LRT, you walk out onto the street, you're at the farmer's market, you're at the Motorcycle Monday event. How wonderful would that be for the businesses and for the events that we hold in this city? It's important that we not take options off the table. It's okay for us to investigate alternatives, but there is no reason in quitting an option which has been proposed, and we still have time to look at all the alternatives and make a decision that is in the best interest of the city and of our people.
Thank you very much. Let's see where we take the conversation now. Mr. Sharman, what would you like to ask our candidates?
Off late there has been some news reports about some 26 chambers in Ontario coming together and lobbying the different levels of government to introduce similar type of tax credits and incentives as U.S. jurisdictions are using to attract investment. We've also seen a number of businesses move from Ontario to U.S. Recently. There has been considerable conversations around improving Brampton's live-work ratio. So maybe we can start with Elaine on the topic in terms of what specific measures would you suggest the region and the city should be exploring to attract investment and improve the live-work ratio?
Well, I think I touched a little bit on it previously with a strong corporate calling program. We absolutely need to communicate, to consult, to build partnerships with our business associations and our boards of trade. That is essential if we are going to attract into our community. We have got a golden opportunity in terms of our geography, being close to the major airport in this part of the world, but we're also part of a bigger GTA. And I think that we need to collaborate with their other municipalities, with the other regions, to build off their strengths and to use some of the synergies that are available to us. We are part of a Greater Toronto Marketing Alliance. I think that works for us. I do think, in terms of going back to your first statement with respect to some of the legislative restrictions that we have, municipalities have limited tools in the toolbox, as you probably know, to attract businesses. There are restrictions around bonusing and things like that. But I think that that probably highlights the need to build partnerships with the business community so we can work together.
Thank you,
You
Ms.
have
Moore.
distinct needs, and we can assist you.
Thank you. Mr. Gautam.
Yeah, to me, the city of Brampton, if you compare it with the city of Waterloo, a small city of Waterloo with a good full-fledged university has much of the technical base and much of the new patents. So the highest number of patents are all done in the Waterloo. How come it is only the culture part? The issue is, if we are not going to the automobile industry, for example, there's a limit on that. Why not to go for the high-tech industries, clean industries? There's still a scope. Only thing is, the investors will come only when they know the city is serious about it and we have the technical base in it. We still have a chance to explore on that, like Network of Angels Ontario. This is a very big network. They will invest only when they know that we are very serious about it. And I still hope it can be done.
Mr. Vicente.
My friends, at every door, the people are telling me that they want City Council to work together and bring jobs to this city. People are tired of the long commutes to work, and they are tired of seeing people, like the councillors, waste valuable city time and resources on issues that are of no benefit to them. I will work with organizations like the Brampton Board of Trade and the Indo-Canadian Chamber of Commerce and other business groups to tell the world that Brampton has the people and will help their business grow. We have people who speak every language here. Let's help our economy grow and keep our citizens working close to home. This is what I mean about when we say we want a livable city, a city where in one place we can live, work, and play. Now, if you agree that Council has not been focused on this goal, then you know it's time for change. Vote for a new focus on October 27th. Building jobs will be my priority.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. Ms. Moore, you wanted to respond?
Well, in terms of building jobs, we have a tremendous investment on the provincial part and locally with healthcare. And to Mr. Gautam's point of the high-tech industry, I think we have an opportunity to build a world-class center for healthcare. With the amount of investment that's here, it's along our central corridor, provides enormous opportunities, and when we have higher level transit along the Queen Street corridor, it connects nicely to the downtown and positions us well for economic growth along that corridor.
Mr. Gautam.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet many of the residents, for certain reasons, most of the residents, they feel, oh, this is just a city to live by. I am totally surprised about the thinking. We all of us, though, yes, it is a good city. I love this city. But, that's not the end, means to end. We have to change this culture part, yeah. It is a better city to live. But why not to get some advice how Mississauga has done? All the big commercial houses, all the new industrial empires, all the new business houses, they all want to settle in Mississauga itself. It's hardly 5 kilometers from away. That way, we still have a hope to start with, but we are still the second poor cousins for the Mississauga. This concept has to be changed, and for that, leadership is required.
Thank you. Mr. Vicente, did you have another comment?
Yes, I would just like to say that we need to be focusing on these issues in City Council instead of always trying to create issues that are not of importance to the people of this city. We need to start thinking about making Brampton a hubbub, not the suburb that it's been for quite some time. We want to attract business investment to our city. We want people to have jobs so that they don't have to commute long distances to make a living. By focusing on these important issues, it means that we'd be working for the people of the city of Brampton. That's what I've been hearing at the doors. At the thousands of doors that I've been to, people are tired of hearing council always fighting on issues that are not important to them. They want jobs, they want investment, they want our city to grow responsibly, and they want our city to be a prosperous place where we can all live and work and play.
Ms. Moore, any comments on the effectiveness of council?
Well, how long have I got? I think...
as much time as you need.
I will, thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you. I think that when I knock on doors, accountability and transparency is the #1 issue. And I'm sorry that my opponent believes that having those discussions, those healthy discussions and debate around the table around matters of accountability and transparency aren't important to the taxpayers. That's not what I'm hearing at the doors. It is #1. It is the cornerstone. It is the principle by which government is supposed to operate. And I am absolutely committed to that, as the newspaper will tell you and as people in the community will tell you. If we don't have integrity around what we do and how we do it, if our residents don't understand what is happening at City Hall because it's being kept hidden in reports or is not being responded to when councillors are asking questions, then it's time to fix that.
Mr. Vicente.
Elaine, I don't see how you can say that you have integrity. You were reported to have lied to the Brampton Guardian many years ago when you did not want to reveal that you were at a meeting which involved another councillor and a developer who is now suing the city of Brampton for $28 million. You were caught lying. How could you say that you have integrity? I've been to thousands of doors in wards 1 and 5, and I have to tell you, everyone tells me the same thing, that I am the first municipal candidate knocking in wards 1 and 5 for more than 20 years. They do not know who their councillors are. They don't know who their representatives are. And that's why I believe, and they have been telling me, that it's time for change in Brampton.
Ms. Moore?
Well, that's just simply not a true statement. I have sent out regularly newsletters. I have folks at the door telling me, in fact, you know, every time I knock on a door, they say, thank you for keeping us informed through your city and regional newsletters. I do want to address the issue of the newspaper report. That story was premised on one question, and the question was whether or not I attended or had a meeting with a certain developer in the city. The answer was no then, and the answer is no now. That story was a manufactured controversy around a question. And so I'm glad that my opponent raised that issue. I think taxpayers have figured it out by now that that was clearly a manufactured controversy and really doesn't deserve the kind of airtime it's getting here today.
Mr. Gautam, would you like to get in on this?
Yeah, just I would not like to comment much on that. I think that all of us know what's being happening. Through the media, everybody is aware of that. I don't want to repeat the same things here. But, you know, the more I meet the people and they say, man, go and change it.
That's right.
That makes me moving. That makes me moving. You know, irrespective of the community, whether South Asian community or any community, believe me, that makes me moving. People want a change. Be clear about it. Ethics were all in the air. No, you can't teach ethics like that. The thing that time is past, and people will vote for that.
Thank you. I think that's a good spot to transition to another question, perhaps. Mr. Clement, what would you like to ask our panel?
This question is for Ms. Moore. The question is, does Brampton offer our youth adequate social, educational, and work opportunities? And how will you contribute to providing opportunities to young people to develop as leaders?
Well, I think the one thing Brampton can be very proud of is the number of programs that we have through our parks and recreation. And working with our school board partners as well. There's a number of examples across the city where recreation centers are close to our schools, where we are partnering for after-school programs and things like that. I also chair the Community Investment Committee at the Region of Peel. It's a $6.5 million pot of funding that is granted out to our various nonprofit and social service agencies. And there are three priorities, and of course the first one is around our youth. And how do we invest in our social service agencies to provide programs, services, and supports for the young people in our community so that they can stay healthy and active and participate fully in all our city has to offer?
Mr. Vicente?
I believe that the youth are our future and that we should invest in programs that will facilitate their training, their involvement in the community, and that's what makes a livable city work. We need to be investing in people who will be the future citizens of this city. We need to encourage youth to be active and to work with companies. We want to incent companies to hire youth and to train them, to give them the skills they need to be able to work in the future workforce. Now, we understand that jobs are the lifeblood of this economy, and that's why, going again back to youth, we want to make sure that after they are grown up, that they can stay home. And that means that we need to be focusing on jobs. That way, when our youth are ready to work and enter our workforce, that they are staying home, that they are prospering our city, and that we make Brampton a livable city, a hub.
Mr. Gautam.
I will appreciate the city of Brampton. They have done a wonderful job regarding recreation. I have no doubt about it. But still people ask, you know, that, man, where are the jobs? That's the main thing. Up to the 10+2 level, yeah, things are going very well. The things get changed when after +2, either they cannot afford to go for the college or the tuition fees or the university fees, and then they end up with the small, petty jobs. Yes, certainly recreation is a big part, but, you know, that's not the means for that, you know. Still, you know, those cities are not responsible to give the jobs. But again, I'm saying it can be changed, you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Moore and then Mr. Vicente.
I would just like...
Ms. Moore, sorry, President Clare.
Thanks. One of the directions that the city has taken that I'm not sure I entirely agree with, and that is building our recreation centers, these large, massive, beautiful, all-service recreation centers. They really and truly are quite spectacular. The problem is that most of them are located at major intersections, so walking to them is difficulty. Back in the days when they built smaller recreation centers that were in each and every neighborhood where children could walk, the neighborhood felt that they had that community meeting space that was so vitally important to them. I'd like to see the city take a step back and revisit that and look for opportunities in some of our newer subdivisions that are served by these larger facilities, and how do we introduce some smaller meeting space for the community that is within walking distance, where kids can go and have a pickup game of hockey or soccer, things like that, using the open green space that we have a little more all season than what it is today.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Vicente.
What we really should be talking about is about providing transit solutions to our citizens. We want to make sure that our buses are running along all of the necessary routes that would allow our youth to be able to travel to these recreation centers. I don't think that building smaller recreation centers is a bad idea, but we also understand that recreation centers are costly. And so being able to operate one large recreation center is going to be more efficient than operating 2 or 3 smaller ones. So transit really is a solution. We need to build on our transit. We need to enhance it, enhance the connectivity between the bus routes so that people, instead of choosing to take the car, they'll choose to take transit because it's low cost, convenience, and especially for our youth, it's really their best option to get around.
Ms. Moore?
Well, not every parent feels comfortable putting their children on public transit, and I'm not sure that's going to change. We seem to be in a generation of that. However, I do think that when we look at the childhood obesity rates in the region of Peel, we should be encouraging public transit, absolutely no question, but we should be providing a walkable, sustainable community that people can walk to shopping, walk to schools, walk to recreation centers. That transit is not the only solution to some of the health issues that we're facing in the region of Peel.
Thank you. Mr. Gautam, you had a comment.
Yeah, transit point of view, she said rightly, none of the parents will really like for the kids to go in the transit for that. If you go to recreation centers, yes, everybody's concerned for that. But you know, it's again a same issue. But yes, we still have improved a lot on the BRT systems, really appreciable on that. But the issue is that what can be done? Each and every house of the city of Brampton should have, within the 2-kilometer range, should have access to the transit system. That is still not there. That can be done. A fast system with the frequency of the service at the same pace as of the Mississauga. Once we are giving so much taxes, why not that pace can be maintained?
Thank you. Mr. Vicente, it looked like you had a comment?
I agree with Mr. Gautam. Transit really is the solution to most of our woes here in this city. If we can provide better transit solutions so that drivers can leave their cars at home, they will take that option. It also will enhance our job market. It will enhance our lives. Transit, walkable cities, yes, because that enhances our health. It will make us healthier. It will make us more active, and it will promote a livable city.
Thank you. Ms. Vorabala, do you have a question for our candidates?
Mr. Vicente, what is your vision for the downtown of Brampton, and what role does council play in making that vision a reality?
Well, for many years we've heard a lot of great ideas on what would work in the downtown, and we have been speaking here tonight on how to make Brampton a livable city. I believe that bringing a university to Brampton would contribute positively to the economic, social, and academic fabric of Brampton. Now, I didn't invent the idea of a downtown university, but I have to say that a downtown university would be the killer app for the future prosperity and livability of the city of Brampton. A research university would give downtown Brampton a real purpose. Thousands of students, many of them not driving cars, would spend their time downtown, and they would truly rejuvenate the area. A Brampton university would help keep our youth in Brampton instead of exporting them to other university towns where they often stay after they graduate. I will work with city staff to ensure that we are actively seeking a proposal to build a university in Brampton, because I know that this is a real priority for the citizens of Brampton.
Mr. Gotham.
Yeah, he rightly said about the university. I was initially had a chance to meet Dr. Jeff, as said it, and they still had the option to open another branch in the city, in the downtown. But once I asked the other local people of the downtown Brampton, they say, Brampton, is it alive? It's dead, almost dead. Maybe we are still complacent that downtown Brampton is really, we are doing it. No, ask the common citizen who lives in Brampton. I had a chance to meet some of the people who were here in the city when the population was hardly 1,300. So, man, this downtown is dying. Go to the shops, they cannot maintain the day-to-day expenses. And for that, again, we are saying that, oh, heritage and heritage, not heritage. I'm not against that. But, unless the business comes in the downtown by any other methods, intelligent means, we are not going to change it. Somewhere has to think out of the box to make it change.
And the question was specifically, as council, what could council do? What are your thoughts on that perspective?
Pardon?
Not just what someone could do, but the question was, what could you do as a councillor?
Yeah, but as a councillor, we have to come with a different type of business model, business plans. If you see on the structure on the downtown Brampton, except for the few buildings, there's no such business like that, because we don't get more of the people coming to invest in the downtown Brampton. There's only limited few. But so far the market is concerned in the downtown Brampton, the things are still in the old structures, and the merchandise is dying there, totally dying there. People say to me, this merchandise is dying. Can anybody do about it? There should be something to do about that, unless we have the infrastructure to change it and more of the transit for the system, and it can't be done.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, downtown Brampton?
Thank you. There's no one magic bullet for fixing our downtown. University presence would certainly help. What we do need are more residents living in the downtown. Businesses won't come unless they've got the foot traffic that's there. I believe very strongly that our development charge incentive program works, and we need to bring those investors to the downtown and talk to them about the opportunities that are there. We have a program where the property owners in the downtown can apply for grants to fix up their properties. And so we have an interesting scenario in Brampton. We can attract tens of thousands of people into the downtown for an event, but they don't come back. They come for an event and then they leave. What we want them to do is to come into the downtown, to be impressed with some of the facades that are there, some of the businesses that are there, so that we can talk those investors into building the high density that we need in the downtown, some of the mixed use. That's what we need in our downtown. It's a chicken and an egg, and sometimes, maybe it's part of where we are in our evolution and our maturity as a city.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Vicente?
Yes, I say we put the chicken first. The real problem with developing residential units in the downtown core, the core itself, is because downtown Brampton is in a floodplain. And we have to recognize this challenge, because that has been the one main determinant of why residential development does not proceed smoothly in downtown Brampton. So it's important that going forward, Council works with the Toronto Region Conservation Authority to solve the flooding issues that could affect downtown Brampton if there was a flood. Now, just this past year, we came up with, City Council came up with what we call the Special Policy Area, which does allow residential development in a ring around the downtown core. But we still have to work to solve the center, what we call the donut hole in downtown Brampton. We need to make sure that it is not restricted to residential development going forward. And to do that, we need to flood-proof the Etobicoke Creek.
Ms. Moore?
Well, thank you. The Special Policy Area was a work in progress for 10 years. It finally received provincial approval this year, and it does allow intensification in the downtown. It does allow in different zones, different volumes of intensification, but I think it's the right plan for the downtown. It leaves our commercial corridor where our commercial corridor should be, and realistically places residents living within that special policy area that will enhance our downtown. So I think it's very much moving in the right direction. There is a way to build residential where it's a mixed use that has a commercial and office component to it, and the residents are at the top. But in terms of flood mitigation for the Etobicoke Creek, that's the next step in this process. We were held up with the hurdle at the province. It wasn't the City of Brampton holding that up. That was the province of Ontario, who couldn't agree with the Conservation Authority and the city on what intensification should look like in our downtown.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's see if we can get one more question in for our viewers. Mr. Shaman, what would you like to ask?
Accountability and transparency. It's been in the news a lot. A lot of people are pointing fingers to the fact that rules were changed a few years ago to move away from a rules-based system to a values-based system. So maybe if we can get the candidates to respond in terms of their personal take on the issue and what they would support if they were elected, and we can start with Gautam on this one.
Yeah, this is a very valid question, sir. This is a burning topic of the city. Accountability cannot be just said, oh, I will be accountable. No, unless you show it, prove it, nobody will believe it. For that, you have to earn that respect. That respect has been lost by few of the, I will not name any person, all councillors in this city together. They have put all the system in shame. I don't know how it can be corrected. Yes, maybe not. But, it can't be bought from the public. It can't be bought from the purse. You have to come clean about it. Clean. Basically, say clean. Unless you clean, unless the government cleans the system or the public cleans the system, something will come out of it. Thank you.
Mr. Vicente?
Folks, as a businessman for more than 20 years, I have served my clients with integrity. It's unacceptable that councillors, including Councillor Moore, have not done the same. How hard is it to not use taxpayer dollars to pay for personal expenses? How difficult is it to understand that you should not make the taxpayer pay for your family and friends to attend a theatre? Councillor Moore expensed these and other items and expected the taxpayer to pay for it. I have never misspent or abused the goodwill of my clients. Integrity counts here. The financial audit revealed that Councillor Moore broke purchasing rules when she split the bill to hide a non-compliant purchase she made with Councillor Gibson. In 2010, the City of Brampton paid over $1 million to settle a lawsuit because Councillor Moore voted for the second lowest bidder on a city contract. How can she say that she has accountability? Don't believe me? Check my website. You will see these documents posted there for you to see. The councillor says that she has experience. I say that having integrity is more important.
Great. Ms. Moore, how would you like to respond?
I think my record is very clear on this. I voted against and spoke against the values-based code of conduct, and that was back in 2011. I believed then, as I believe now, that residents need rules to hold their elected officials accountable. I was the first councillor to post my expenses online. That was well over a year ago, so the residents could go in and see how I was spending my money, offer comments, and we could talk about it, and I could make adjustments as required or needed. I supported the forensic audit. I think it's unfortunate that things evolved to the point where we needed a forensic audit, but I viewed the audit as probably, in terms of timing, the best thing that ever happened, because we had transitioned from a rules-based code of conduct with administrative oversight to a values-based code of conduct with no administrative oversight. We operated for 3 years under that, and I think it was important that we reviewed it. And through that review, the forensic audit and the integrity commissioner have validated my concerns back in 2011, that it is not in the taxpayer's best interest to have a values-based code of conduct.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Vicente, you had a comment?
I just want to say that in the private sector, we don't have any problem keeping separate two different accounts. You have a credit card for your personal expenses, and you have a credit card for your company's expenses. You don't need rules to understand something that's very basic. You don't spend money that doesn't belong to you. And I believe that we need a change at City Council in order to bring back the values that really count, integrity.
Mr. Gautam.
Yeah, whether you steal $5 or steal $50 is all the same. I know the basics regarding the oversight. How the councillor say, oh my God, I did it? Oh, I could have paid back.
I didn't know.
Nobody can digest it. No, it doesn't work. It was working until now. I don't know what will happen. Only the electorate will decide.
Ms. Moore?
I will say that the taxpayers have every right to be upset and outraged over what has happened at City Hall. And I think the corrective measures have been taken. And I think that my record is loud and proud in terms of my concerns from 2011 till today on what the deficiencies and the shortcomings were in the Code of Conduct and our previous Integrity Commissioner. I think this council took a leadership role and made the changes that were necessary. You can't fix what you don't know, and you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. And I think that this council stepped up to the plate and did what was right for the taxpayers.
Thank you. We have just enough time for one question with not much debate, but if Mr. Clement, if you'd like to ask a question, we just get each candidate's brief response to the question being posed.
To try and put it on the more positive, these debates, the questions and the answers quite often focus on the negative. What's wrong with Brampton? What's wrong with council? Can each of you share just one, top of mind, something that is right about Brampton, something that makes you Brampton proud? Starting with Mr. Goten.
I love Brampton, and I respect the way the Bramptons has invited so many immigrants. I'm one of them, and my kids have really brought up here, got good jobs. I'm very appreciative about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Vicente?
I have been a resident of Brampton for 30 years. I'm very proud of my city. We have great parks, great schools, churches, facilities. I grow my business here. When I talk to my clients, I tell them I am from Brampton. So I'm very proud of this city. And so I appreciate everything that this city has to offer. And I believe that going forward, we need more accountability, more integrity, transparency in city council. And I believe we also need more representation. That's what I've been hearing at the thousands of doors that I've been to over the past 7 months. They want to know who their councillors are, and that's what I'm going to do when I am elected on October 27th.
Ms. Moore?
Thank you. I've lived in Brampton since 1964. Both my children were born at Peel Memorial Hospital, and both my grandchildren were born at Brampton Civic. I have another wonderful adopted granddaughter, and I can tell you that this city has tremendous opportunity before us. I'm going to tell you a brief story. I'll make it really fast. Regional employee had a meeting at the city. He had to park at the Rose Theatre. He came out of the parking garage. It was early morning as the sun was coming into Garden Square. The umbrellas were up. And he stopped and he pulled out his cell phone and he took a photo and he sent it to his wife. He said, I haven't been to Brampton in such a long time, and this, look at it, wow. And that is Brampton. We have an enormous wow factor. Wow in terms of diversity, wow in terms of our sports programs, our parks, and our opportunity. So I love Brampton. Obviously, I've stayed here for such a long time, but I love serving the taxpayers in our city, and I love being and playing a role in building this city and helping it to become what it can.
Thank you very much for sharing your personal perspectives, as I'm sure the viewers would love to get the opportunity to get those types of insights as to why you're running and why you're doing the things you are doing for our city by putting your names on the ballot. We now take it to our closing statements for each of the candidates. As discussed earlier, we're going to go in the reverse order of our opening, so that would leave Mr. Vicente first. How would you like to leave the comments to the viewers?
My fellow citizens, you deserve true representation. A new period in the history of Brampton is on the horizon, and you have been telling me that the time for change is here. I am asking for your vote to be your voice at City Hall and the region of Peel. I have a record of working with people to find solutions, and thanks to our conversations, I have a strong understanding of the issues that affect you. I pledge to always listen to you, both in person and through regularly scheduled monthly town hall meetings, so that I can always be aware of your needs and represent your concerns. As your regional councillor, I represent your views, not someone else's. I ask you for your support, and I ask you for your friendship. I am Paul Vicente, and I am asking for your vote. On October 27th, vote Paul Vicente. Let's stand together, and let's stand up for Brampton.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. Mr. Gautam, your final
I will
thoughts?
simply say again, I have a clean image. I will maintain that image. That's why my motto is, my mantra is full disclosure, full transparency, and I really mean it. Once I really mean it, the other electorates can depend on me and I can make a change. The reason is my technical background. I'm going to use it for more of the innovative and cost-cutting approaches, all methodical in a technical way. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Moore, your final thoughts?
Thank you. Despite the turmoil in the mayor's office, the last 4 years have been incredibly productive. Your councillors have been doing a lot of heavy lifting, and we have an impressive list of accomplishments, from finalizing the guidelines for second unit apartments to a plan for higher level transit to get Brampton moving. Now more than ever, taxpayers need a trusted hand at the wheel fighting for you. I have a reputation for tackling the tough issues, asking the tough questions, holding decision makers accountable, and offering viable solutions. I'm asking for your continued trust to help lead our city into the future, a future that every hard-working Brampton taxpayer deserves. On October the 27th, respectfully, I ask you that you re-elect Elaine Moore for Regional Councillor in Wards 1 and 5.
Thank you very much. And that brings our debate to a close. I'd like to thank the candidates, our panelists for their participation, as well as you, our viewers, for joining us. On behalf of Brampton Board of Trade and Rogers Television, we hope you found the discussion to be enlightening and want to remind you to please, more than anything, be sure to vote. Finally, please tune into Rogers Television, Cable Channel 10 on election night for complete election night coverage, including up-to-the-minute results and in-depth analysis of the results in your ward. The local campaign, it all takes place on election night, Monday, October 27th, on Rogers Television. Thank you for watching.